Hello everyone and welcome to the Girls in Movement podcast, where we have actually officially passed the episode 10 milestone. So here's to many more, and I want to say a huge thank you firstly to all the guests and future guests, and of course everyone who's listened, downloaded and shared over social media. So I think with Girls in Movement, this kind of next milestone will definitely be to hit 50 podcasts. So we're looking forward to that, definitely. So we're joined today by a very kind of interesting guest who has a long list of achievements, and I really do believe that it's growing kind of year on year, month on month. Every time I look at her social media, she's always doing something pretty cool. She's an award-winning journalist, presenter, and is currently writing for the Telegraph, which is huge. And what I really like about this guest is that she's used her platform as a presenter to kind of empower different communities, and this is why I kind of initially reached out. So she campaigns for causes which are close to her, such as women empowerment, and I think that's really important with the kind of project with Girls in Movement. So I'm excited to kind of hear about her ideas around mentoring, definitely her journey to where she is, what she's doing at the moment. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Anila Dhami to the Girls in podcast. So how are you, Anila? Welcome.
Thank you, and congratulations on your milestone, and thank you for having me. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
No worries, thank you. I suppose, obviously, I've given you a kind of short version of your life, so I think it'd be great if you could give your kind of, I suppose, journey from where you started to where you are now.
Well, so I started, I guess, in journalism and media when I was about 15 at a local radio station called Club Asia, which is now Buzz Asia.
Right.
And from there, I just loved journalism. I loved media, and I loved that I was doing something different to everyone else. And that was at my work experience, actually, my year 10 work experience.
Oh, wow.
And while most people had, gone and opted for something, maybe retail, which obviously there's nothing wrong with that at all. And you get experience from everywhere. But actually, my parents were market traders, so I already had retail experience and thought, I don't really want to be doing that again, just in a shop. So I'm going to find something completely different. And so, yeah, I found a local radio station. I thought, wow, it was really inspiring. I was around really kind of good people who inspired me.
Yeah.
And from then on, I took part in a 2-week summer school course in journalism.
Yeah.
And that from that point onwards, I started receiving training with them. And I joined the organisation called Headliners.
Yeah.
And I stayed with them till I turned, I think it was 18 or 21 even, actually. And I, went to Parliament and interviewed MPs during the general election. I interviewed people within the community and covered community projects that help young people. And I even travelled with them, actually, across the country to cover initiatives that were being put into place for young people. So that's probably where it stems from, the want to use a platform to help people, because I actually started off with an organisation, a charitable organisation that helps people, helps media students, and covered, that young people aspect.
Yeah.
And then I went to university. I studied a degree in English, and I did my master's at Warwick in philosophy and literature.
Oh, cool.
And all the while I was still gaining work experience, I went and did kind of sports, fashion, news, politics, really dipped my hand into everything to see what I enjoy. And I also know that, to be in media, you have to be multi-skilled. You have to be able to put your hand to anything.
Yeah.
So I really tried to go out there and build up my skills on my own, knowing that I don't have a degree in journalism. And so, I would need those skills. And then as soon as I came out of university, out of my master's, I started freelancing for London Live.
Cool.
And yeah, and ITV. Try to think back now. So yeah, I freelanced for some really cool companies before getting my own show on Zee TV.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And you know, Zee TV is, if you're a South Asian, it's a household name.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, it's such an amazing platform. And my grandparents, from the minute they moved from India to this country, had been watching Zee TV. So I knew that, you know what, at least it's going to make my grandparents happy. And so they were very proud for the, yes. And that was just an amazing platform because I really got to move around. I was not only a presenter on 2 shows, I became the only presenter to turn into a reporter. I learned how to self-shoot. I was the only presenter to be an assistant producer. So I used to reformat shows. I formulated and implemented their social media strategy.
Amazing.
I managed the marketing at one point, cross-platform marketing. So I got everything possible out of Zee TV. And then I found that my calling took me into politics, and I joined the Women's Equality Party.
Wow.
And that was really exciting, actually, because I was voted in by members of the Women's Equality Party. We really had to take part in a democratic process where people voted for who they wanted to stand as a representative and as a candidate. And when I was, you know, when I found out that I'd been chosen, and Sandy Toksvig actually called me up, and I had just come out of the makeup room at Zee, and I get a call from Sandy Toksvig, and she's like, "Hi, Anila, just letting you know, you've been shortlisted, and you've been, you know, you're a candidate for the Women's Equality Party." And I just screamed and was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Sandy Toksvig's on the phone to me, let alone the fact that I'm running as a candidate for her party."
Very cool.
Yeah, it was really awesome, actually, and I felt like that was really like a key part of my life where I was able to stand and say, "Look, this is what I believe in, and this is what I'm going to do to help women in this country," and, you know, really be able to do something to help and turn kind of ideas into policy. So I campaigned. I had 3 key campaign areas. One was equal pay, equal media treatment, and ending violence against women and girls.
Right. Okay. Great.
And that was just, yeah, so it was amazing. And after that, after running in the elections, that was for the Greater London Assembly, what did I go on to do then? I then started freelancing again in journalism.
Right.
And I became a presenter for the BBC Asia Network.
Amazing. Wow.
And after that, I moved up to Newcastle to become a journalist for ITV News up in the northeast.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to London, and now I'm freelancing for the Telegraph.
Oh wow, amazing. So currently at the moment you're freelancing with the Telegraph, and then are you doing what else are you kind of doing on the side of that?
So I freelance for the Telegraph, where I'm kind of I produce their bulletins, news bulletins, and on the side I get to have well, to be honest, I was going to say I have a very exciting life, but the Telegraph is very exciting. And I love waking up and going to that every morning, even if it's at 6 in the morning. I love it. But, you know, I do lots of other things. So I try to do kind of charity work. I host a lot of shows and events. Yeah, and I just try to kind of help out wherever I can in the community.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I was kind of saying before we started this call, I noticed you were really busy kind of this week on a kind of, I think, is it a show or kind of a program called Be Inspired? What's that all about and what's it involved?
So that was a Be Inspired stage, actually. It's part of Europe's largest wedding show.
Oh, okay.
And we came up with that concept because we wanted people to have a kind of holistic experience when shopping around for their weddings,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just, you know, kind of visiting an exhibition and just visiting stands and stall holders. We wanted them to actually feel like it was a real experience and part of their big day.
Oh, great.
So the Be Inspired stage is where I interview industry experts and give people, it's not only to, you know, give an audience top tips and help and advice when it comes to their big day, but actually giving a platform to people within the industry to really, you know, market them and get their voice out there and get their ideas out. So it was, it's an inspiration stage that kind of helps everyone out.
Oh, interesting.
And it's something different because, you know, I am quite a news and politics and current affairs background.
Yeah.
So it's just something really fun and different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely out of your, I suppose, your experience within politics, etc., doing something like that. But it's really cool. I mean, when it comes to, I suppose you've reported on obviously politics is a big thing, and then obviously you were voted in terms of kind of equality within women. Do you think, what sort of year was that when you were voted in, just out of interest? Was it a while
That
ago?
was, I'm just thinking, it was last year.
Last year, okay. So I was going to say,
Yes.
do you think much has changed? But I was going to kind of ask, do you think when you first came in, I suppose obviously into that sort of world, do you think much has changed, say, in the past year, past 5 years, in terms of equality with women when it comes to business?
It's a very good question, because I was going to say actually things have changed when it comes to the kind of, I mean, everyone will know what I'm referring to when I say that sexual harassment has been highlighted massively by the media. When it comes to business, I think that much more is actually being done when it comes to transparency within companies, when it comes to equal pay. I think that companies are feeling more responsible, that actually women should be being paid the same amount. And while, you know, while it may not be enforced as much as we like when it comes to transparency, because I really think that that's one way of combating the fact that we don't have equal pay yet. I think the fact that women have tools like social media to be able to really raise awareness does help. And I think that actually this year the kind of equal pay campaign, equal pay day, was quite massive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would agree. I mean, the equal pay campaign was really, seems like it was a success in terms of getting the word out there, and the different businesses that were getting involved, kind of big footsie, kind of 250 companies actually doing the whole kind of out of office campaign with females. And because I think for those of you who are listening and obviously don't know about this campaign, it was basically outlining that after a certain date in November, a lot of women won't, I don't know what the percentage was, but a lot of women would actually be working for free, in terms of kind of equal pay, and men are still obviously getting paid until the end of the year, but when you actually work it out, we would technically be working for free. So yeah, it's a really good cause, and I think it needs to be heightened in these kind of top companies and in the top level, because I still think that's where the issues lie. And I think if bigger companies aren't doing it, then these kind of smaller businesses, kind of who they look up to, they won't kind of follow either. So yeah, huge
Oh,
company.
absolutely. And especially the fact that women, there are such a lack of women at the top in top positions. And that also really impacts the fact that women lower down aren't getting, you know, the same pay. We need to see equality across the board when it comes to women in business.
Definitely.
From the fact of, you know, filling top positions to having equal pay. Equal pay is really just one of the factors that we still need to address, but there are many others.
Yeah, definitely. I think I mean, I had a conversation with a female founder based out in the US, and she said that the kind of lack of female role models in big businesses is kind of, is actually what's kind of, I suppose, affecting how many women start a startup or start a small business, because there's a lack of female kind of founders in the top tier of businesses. If you look at your Uber, Facebook, and Twitter, these big kind of the companies that started really small and now they've obviously scaled quite quickly, they're all, I'd say 95% of them are all kind of male founders. So yeah, definitely, I think it's not just equal pay, it's role models is completely kind of the issue there as well.
And it's a vicious cycle, really, because if you don't have that many women at the top, in top positions, you don't have that other side of the voice to say, actually, you know, this is how women should be treated in a business. And that really plays into different factors. You know, you've got the economic factor, but you've also got the social factor of we still have these labels that women who are doing well are business women, career women, whereas women who stay at home or work part-time are kind of career mothers. And you have all of these labels when it comes to women that feed into the whole entire image of, should we even recruit a woman at the top? Because will the fact that she wants to be a mother affect her work? You know, if we get rid of those labels, that would impact having more women at the top. If we change our kind of dialogue and narrative in media towards women, that would affect and help and, you know, create more space for women at the top. And in turn, women lower down will have better treatment because there are women in higher positions who are there to kind of balance things out. So I think we've still got a lot of work to do when it comes to women in the workplace, a lot.
And are you still involved in the project within Parliament then? Is that still something it's ongoing, or?
As a journalist, I have to remain impartial.
Yeah.
So I'm not involved in the Women's Equality Party, but, you know, because they're a cross-party kind of, they are non-partisan is the word. The non-partisan, so it doesn't really have a conflict. But, you know, if they've got a campaign that I think is brilliant, or Sophie Walker, their party leader, has said something amazing, of course, you know, I'm the first one to retweet them.
Definitely. Nice. It's really
and you know, because I was one of the first ever candidates to join that party, I obviously do have a great affiliation, and I really think that we shouldn't shy away from trying to fight for women's rights. There's absolutely no kind of shame in that. So yeah, I think they're a great party.
Yeah, no, really good. And I think we can leave some information about Women's Equality Party kind of at the bottom of the YouTube kind of bio for this podcast as well. But it's definitely a project you should follow if you don't know about it yet. As I suppose with Girls in Movement, it's all kind of the end goal is all about mentoring young girls or individuals across the world, and I suppose empowering their mind when it comes to if they wanted to start a business and kind of, I don't know, follow their dream of what they wanted to do, that they kind of have the tools around them, they have the knowledge that they can do so, etc. So I suppose my question is, did you have any mentors growing up or kind of people that stand out in your life who probably are kind of affected where you are at the moment?
I'd definitely say I had a role model, and that was Angelina Jolie.
Oh, nice.
She's always been my role model because I always loved the way that she'd used her skill and talent, which she'd obviously worked at and honed in acting, to get to a level in her career where she was able to use her platform to shine a light on issues that people face and give a voice to the underrepresented. And I think I've always, you know, attempted and aimed to do that with my own work, that, you know, achieve some kind of level in my career where I think I'm in a position to be able to do this or help this person or help someone with this contact. I can't really say I had a mentor as such, but, you know, she was definitely my role model and has been.
It's a great role model to have. I mean, Angelina Jolie's story is just amazing. The work that she does at the moment. I mean, I think it's only about 10% actually gets kind of broadcasted in the media because she does so much, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal.
Definitely. I mean, what's been the sort of highlights for this year, and is there anything exciting that's coming up in 2018 for you?
Oh God, highlights of this year. There have been so many. Gosh.
I love asking.
I think everything. Yeah, it's so difficult because it's like, where do I even begin? I have to say, do you know what? I'm actually really fortunate to have that response, I think, because I'm definitely somebody who doesn't compromise when it comes to following my dream or trying to live what I think of as being my dream. And I have to say, you know, highlights for me have been everything that I've done this year, you know, from working at ITV and having kind of I had two series commissioned with ITV, one on the ageing population and one on mental health. So they were really, they were amazing moments for me. Another one has to be being shortlisted for the Regional Journalist of the Year award.
Oh, great.
For ITV at the Asian Media Awards. And actually that was also because I made such a big move to go to ITV, and I really gave it my all. I moved away from home. I bought a car. I wasn't very confident in driving because I had a car crash the year before. So, I just had to kind of do mind over matter, really, for the fact that I needed those skills and needed to go and work there. So, that was quite a proud moment for me. I'm working at the Telegraph. I've been part of a really amazing project with them. And I think all of the work that I've done with the charity that I'm ambassador of, Binti.
Oh, okay.
And it's a charity that helps women and girls in the UK, India, and Africa when it comes to periods and having sanitary kind of towels and period provision. And it provides an education to girls in these countries as well when it comes to periods and what it actually means to our bodies and smashing the shame against menstruation.
Nice.
So yeah, I think that's been, I've really enjoyed doing that work because I think that at the end of the day, periods are a real basic biological fact for many women.
Yeah, completely.
And, there's a lot of shame and stigma around it still.
And I suppose what's exciting that's coming up in 2018? Is there anything that listeners should be aware of or follow you on? Or?
Honestly, I plan my life about 3 weeks in advance, so I don't even know what 2018 holds. I'm just so open to anything. I feel like I throw out the net and see what it pulls in, and I kind of do love living like that sometimes. I'll go from kind of freelancing and just having the door wide open and seeing who walks in to going back to full-time work and being stable for a while. So
being
2018, yeah, anything could happen.
Yeah, love it. And I suppose the work at Telegraph, I mean, that's what you're doing at the moment. Is it, I always see stuff around technology. Is it just technology or do you kind of do other bits and pieces as well?
With the Telegraph?
Yeah.
So I write, produce and read the news bulletins for them, for their website. And it covers national and international news.
Sure.
So it's everything, basically.
Right. Okay. Interesting. No, it's good. It's definitely kind of.
It's really good.
Yeah, moving from ITV then to the Telegraph is it's a really good achievement.
It was it's different because with ITV that was regional news.
Sure.
So I really covered I covered the northeast and northwest. So now I've kind of gone from regional to national and international. So it has been it's a step in the right direction, really.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that just gives you complete open kind of net of what you can talk about and kind of what the stories you'll be looking into as well. So it's really good.
Yes, yeah. But I really think actually that for anyone who does want to go into journalism, I think that starting off regional is really helpful because you kind of learn all of those skills that you need and you make contacts and it teaches you so much. So that regional experience is just really invaluable. I just had such an invaluable experience at ITV.
Amazing. I mean, we had a couple of other kind of, I think one of our previous guests was a presenter in the BBC now, and she said the kind of most experience that she kind of ever learnt was when she was working for community radio, and it was the best. It was hard, it was challenging, but she kind of learnt all the basic skills. But I mean, now she's in a world where most of the work is done for her, but she has that control still of like questions she can ask, etc. But yeah, it's definitely a big step. But I mean, like in the world of media, I think having that initial experience in a small local paper or a local radio, it's huge. It's so important.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. It really is. It teaches you all of the skills that you need to really, be on the ball when it comes to news, how to cover it, the resources, how to find the resources and use them. It's just, it's just such a brilliant foundation.
Perfect. I mean, I've got one last question for you, Anila, which I ask all my
Okay.
and it is, if you could give your younger self, any advice, what would it be?
It would be keep calm and have fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that, I'm very, very ambitious, and I will reach a milestone that I've been trying to reach.
Yeah.
And as soon as I've reached it, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to kind of, I indulge in it and do the work, and then I'm ready to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's just that thing of, do you know what? Just take a minute to recognize that actually you have reached that milestone, you have accomplished something, and to not keep worrying about the next thing that's going to happen, because actually, if you look back, everything always works out. You're always where you're meant to be, and life will always keep moving. You will always keep moving, because every stepping stone that you've put into place behind you is creating a path that will lead you somewhere else.
Well, couldn't have put it better myself. I mean, on that note, I think it's great advice, and I definitely think keep calm and have fun. And I think the have fun part is definitely the most important bit, because I think we do sometimes, like, you just get absorbed in a life of working and doing the day to day, that you actually don't take a minute to look back and you got to do something that you enjoy, because then the having fun part just comes naturally to it. But I mean, not everyone is to have that.
Exactly, and just to remember that, everything is a choice. And every day when you wake up in the morning, you're making a choice about how your day pans out.
Exactly.
So, make the choices that you make, and then enjoy them. Even if they don't work out how you expect them to, just enjoy them, and the fact that you made a decision, because everything in life is a lesson. Everything is there to add to you. Even if it's something negative, it adds something more to your personality. It adds greater depth to you, and it builds you as a person. So everything there is to really build you up and get you further in life to the place where, every moment counts, really. And I just think enjoy it and embrace it.
Exactly. Embrace the mistakes as well, because I think when you're young, you just think one mistake is like the end of the world, and it's all over. But it's not. You got to embrace it, and it's going to be a lesson one day. So you just got to look at it like that.
Absolutely. It's never a mistake. It's always a lesson.
Exactly. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Anila. You've been a really good guest, and everything you're doing at the moment it's all exciting stuff. Whoever wants to follow kind of Anila's story, I can put all the Instagram, Twitter, and any of the social media that Anila's on at the moment. I can put it all kind of at the bottom of the YouTube. We're on iTunes as well, so you can download it as a podcast. And then obviously, of course, give Anila a follow and follow her story. So thank you, Anila. Thanks for being a great guest.
Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you.
Great. Thank you very much.